This podcast is brought to you by the following
Why don't you go like
sponsors.
this and have lightning come from your hands? Yeah.
I'll just do this.
Effects.
Finishers MMA is located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA, Lehigh Valley's home for 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. The amount of people that they have over there instructing is insane. They have J.M. Holland, John Thor Blanks opening up 10th Planet Allentown, Zach Meslaney, Grace Gundrum. It is elite teaching over there. They teach self-defense, no-gi jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing. They have a kids martial arts program that is building and growing, and Grace is teaching every single kids class. Get over there. They are the biggest killers in the game. That's 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Do you have anything to interject?
You didn't let me talk. I don't know.
No, I would like trying to get quicker on that. But they have multiple schools, and it's www.finishersmma.com. That has their schedule on there, and it has when they rotate everything. And they have evening classes because if you work and you can't get there, they even have, I think, an 8 o'clock class on Wednesday.
The thing I like the best is that they treat people with respect. It's not like one of those weird places you go and they talk down to you and, you know, like I'm a big bad sensei kind of crap.
No, not at all.
They're super cool guys. Everybody that goes there is nice. Everybody's friendly. It's just a wonderful place to go and learn jiu-jitsu. Wonderful place to go learn choke people.
Yeah.
Let's go choke some people.
Every time I've been over there, and I get a little intimidated sometimes going into classes like that, even like going to the gym or like the Y, I get a little uncomfortable, and they make you feel at home there. Super professional. The guys have been doing it for a while. Zach, JM, and Thor all have their black belts. So
and they have crazy top-notch equipment. Everything is awesome. It's not some...
Yep. Every now and then they do
awesome. It's an awesome place.
Seminars and stuff there too. So check it out. It's finishersmma.com, and they are located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. Their social media is everywhere, so you can go find them. And thank you guys for being a sponsor. Taylordedgewoodco Company. Drew Hoagland. They make handmade and local crafting and bringing you gorgeous custom wood design. If you're looking for a custom table, nightstand, countertop, and more, they can help you. Drew made this table and that desk. A lot of people always have asked us who did this, and it was Taylordedgewoodco Company. Their social media you can find is Taylordedgewoodco on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram has a lot of the pictures and stuff. That's the best place to follow them. They just got the website up. It should be running by the time this airs, but that's Taylordedgewoodco.com, and he's going to have cutting boards on there. Their T-shirts are really cool. I know they're doing fall shirts for that, and he's just a stand-up guy. He's done nothing but help the show since day one and has really ultimate crafting.
Yeah, if you're looking to get something different for your home and you don't want to have the same boring home with the same boring box store, stupid tables that are particle board that are wrapped in crappy vinyl stuff, check him out. He'll come and give you an estimate, let you pick out whatever you want. He's a crazy nut for black walnut, and he loves the stuff, the smell
He's
of it.
Obsessed with
crazy.
it.
It's a little awkward, but he's very very talented. And like I said, if you want something custom and nothing says that you're cool, then I have a damn custom table and you don't.
Yeah, and you get professional quotes, and he's also got that he's going to be having that on the website where you'll be able to get quotes off of there. So if you're looking for top-notch,
locally sourced,
everything's out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, support local people.
Yeah, so hit them up. You can hit up Taylordedgewoodco@gmail.com for any inquiries on what you need. Instagram's a good way to get a hold of him, and he runs it with his wife, so they're super local to us, and they helped us out since the beginning. So please go check them out, and thank you for being a sponsor.
All right, our next sponsor is All Valley Rooter and Plumbing.
Jared LaBarba. I've been friends with Jared for almost my entire life, and he came down to the studio looking to sponsor, and we had a long conversation, and he wanted help building in the Nazareth area. He has a lot of work in the Lehigh Valley, but he specifically wanted to get into Nazareth, and we have a really big reach in Nazareth. It's not a big place, but we do have bigger reach than anyone else here.
We control the whole
We
town.
own Nazareth. But Jared went through his whole story and told me everything he's doing, and his plumbing is top notch. Yes. They do faucet repair, sub pump replacement, sink installation, pipe installation, leaks, toilet repair, and more. They have 24-hour service, 365 days a year. They charge by the job, not the hour. All services come with a 1-year warranty and guarantee. He's going to be our plumber from now on if we have any problems with the sink and whatnot. Yeah. Having plumbing issues is probably one of the biggest headaches ever.
It's one of those things that if something goes bad with your plumbing, it's really bad. There is no minor plumbing issue. And It's good to have someone that's local that you can call, that you know, and say, hey, I really need your help, as opposed to some guy that's going to spend, he's going to take 3 hours to get there and he's going to show up. He's going to overcharge you. It's just not worth it. Go with a local guy, super professional. He can do everything you really want. He lists a bunch of stuff there, but I'm pretty sure he can do pretty much everything involving plumbing. So I'm just going to call him for everything. So. Whatever.
Yeah, and you have 2 properties that you can use them for now, too, because you didn't have a good experience.
No, they were horrible.
I wish you would say who it was.
I really hate that.
His website is allvalleyrouter.net, and that is the place where you're going to find all of the information you need to get a hold of Jared if you have any plumbing issues, or if you're just trying to get quotes for stuff. But they are 365 days a year. They are open 24 hours, and we want to thank him for being one of our first sponsors on the show. It means a lot, and all you Nazareth peeps or anybody in the Lehigh Valley who wants a trusted, reliable, professional plumber, please contact Jared.
And our next sponsor is Rips Auto Detail. I love this guy. Go ahead.
One of my favorite guests on the show.
Cool. He's a really nice guy. He's a very good DJ also, by the way.
Yes, and he's super professional at his job. He's got over 15 years of experience. He is located at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He does paint correction, ceramic coating, interior, and pro auto detail. If you follow him on Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, it's insane what this guy actually does with a car.
I am recommending that you go to Popeyes, which is right up the street, and you put fingerprints all over your vehicle, and then you go there, and he will make it perfect again.
Yeah, he's got 15 years of experience. He's got a package for everyone. What he stressed on the show is that he doesn't just do super high-end vehicles. Yep. He can do anything from, if you just have a daily driver and you just like having a clean car, you can get that done, all the way up to getting a boat done.
Yeah, well, it's worth it because I had my SUV detailed last year, actually, just because, especially when you live around here with the salt and everything else, if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will keep your car looking better than dealing with all the salt, because you keep going for car washes and stuff. That's not good. So if you get a really good detail on it, it actually will help all that stuff. So it basically winterizes your thing. And plus, when it gets nice out, you just go there and get it, just touched up a little bit, get it, refreshed, and you have a car that doesn't look like you're a slob.
You can contact him directly on Instagram, and that's at Rips Auto Detail, or you can call him at 484-553-1366. If you really want to know what this guy does, check out our past podcast with him. It's got a boatload of information. I didn't know, I knew he was good at what he was doing, and he opened his own business and all that, but to hear the story of how he got to where he's at, and the 15 years experience, he's a super pro. He's a really great guy. Just go check out his stuff at Rips Auto Detail on Instagram, Facebook, and his website is coming soon. So go check him out, and he's one of our first sponsors as well. And we couldn't do the show without all these people, so I want to thank everyone. And shout out to Rips Auto Detail, and give him a follow.
And he gives you a free bucket of chicken.
No, he does not.
He's from Popeyes, because he does. Put that in there.
He didn't even like Popeyes.
Rips, you need to give out free chicken. Thank you.
Check out what he's doing on social media, and we won't use that part. And then we'll end it with, this is a professional Class A operation. Check out the podcast we did with him. All right. So it's Never Again Radio, episode 14, first Skype call. Let's hope it fucking works. Cool. Welcome to Never Again Radio, man.
Thank you.
It's been, 2 years since I reached out? That's how long it took to get everything together?
It seems like I didn't really keep track, but it seems like it.
No, I appreciate you being patient. I have so much I want to get into. I first heard about you when I saw that Joe Rogan retweeted Who Made His Clock. And then I clicked on that link, and then I saw the amount of stuff you do besides the clock that you did for him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really cool opportunity, you know. It was something I just kind of, I tweeted something out that had him, I tagged him on it. I really didn't even know anything about Twitter much, and so I was kind of stumbling. And a few hours later, I opened my phone to check up on things, and I saw a notification that Joe Rogan was following me, and I was like, well, you know, I knew it was him because I listened to the podcast, and so I kind of held on to it and kind of thought about what I should do. And all these people were sending him things, you know, they were sending him artwork and different things, and he didn't really get a lot of stuff then, you know. And so I reached out and said, hey, if I built you something cool, can I send it to you? And he said, absolutely. And a few weeks later, I came back out with him with a grandfather clock idea, and he said, build it. So I built it and shipped it to him, and he had it for quite a while before he, you know, got it put up. I'm sure he has like a million other things to do besides putting up some artwork that some dude sent him. But when he put it up, you know, my Instagram just started rolling through, and I kind of thought like all of it would be over, but it's just continued to kind of pay me back. It's been a pretty cool thing.
Were you nervous, or like how long did you have to wait for him to respond when you were like, yeah, what do you want to do? Were you guys like talking like regular, or like did you have to wait for responses like a day or so?
Nah, he was pretty quick.
That's awesome, because that would have sucked for like you had to wait a week, and you're like, I don't know if this guy even likes the shit or he's being nice.
Most of those guys get like a room full of stuff, like letters and everything. So yeah, that would have sucked if you just sit there like, I wonder if he liked it or he just put it in the back or gave it to somebody. But it's been shown prominently in the background.
The toughest part was like, it took a while for them once they got it to put it up. And so I'm like, oh, fuck, you know, they opened it and it looks like shit and they fucking hate it. And why would I ever put this up? You know, all these things run through my mind. And, you know, and then one day I opened up my phone and like I had to change settings on my phone because my Instagram was going so much that I couldn't manage other tasks on my phone. And apparently he loved it. So, and it's, you know, and there it is. He messaged me not too long ago, wanted to pay me for it because I sent it to him for nothing. It was just like, he's got free content, you know, it's just does so much great things. And I looked at it as exposure for me. I thought if one person called me about artwork from that one clock, then great. And it's turned out to pay back 10 times over in so many different ways I just never imagined.
Now, did the fighter and the kid, you made them one too, correct?
Yeah.
So did they hit you up, or did you just do that too, to send it to those guys?
No. I heard they were moving studios a while ago, and I reached out to Brendan, and again, almost immediate response was hell yeah. And so I put about twice the amount of work into theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, you can see it in the background, and everybody that I've shown that clock to, when I show them our stuff, they're like, man, that thing is so awesome. And I was like, yeah, you also made this. And I've sent so many people to your website to check stuff out, and they're like, how did this guy ever decide to talk to you people? And I was like, I don't know, it's a mistake. It was by accident, because Mike has weird ways of talking to people. I'm not involved in any of that.
And there's been a couple other podcasts I've made signs for, and it's kind of the same deal across the board. You know, there's good people out there doing good things, and if you can just kind of spread it around, then I feel like it'll come back someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that and reached out, I was like, man, what a cool podcast. And I don't even think we had video set up yet. I don't even know where we were, but I reached out to you and a couple other people I was reaching out to at the time. And what's the best thing about Instagram is that you're literally directly connected to the person unless they have somebody running their social media. So like when you responded, I was like, awesome. And then I was like, cool, let's get on the phone. And then we talked on the phone, and I reached out to like him. It was Blown Deadline and Reload Rub, like all within the same week. And it's like, well, that's what's awesome about Instagram and social media is like you literally just hit up Joe Rogan and talk to him. Like you would never be able to do that at all.
No. And it's kind of that same story that I was listening to his podcast years ago and realized like that it was said just about like that. Like he said, you know, you can reach out to anybody and contact them. And then he said, you know, I run my Twitter. Nobody touches my Twitter. It's me. You know,
which is smart for him. Yeah.
Me. And so, and to be real honest, like I listened to him enough to know that on certain nights he stayed up late after his sets and would work on his, you know, on his new material. So here, like sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m, panic attack, who knows, whatever, just, you know, work or something. And I tweeted out at the time that I knew that, or at least I thought that he would be up late coming home from a set or whatever, you know, working on his stuff, so that it would catch his attention. You know, I wasn't just going to throw it out at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he gets a million mentions. I'm surprised he even saw it.
Yeah.
You know, the original tweet.
Because, I mean, he's probably bombarded all day long to the point of, like, you wouldn't even know how he would even see that.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
And then he actually talked to you and you got to build him something.
Yeah, but your stuff is that good. So I'm sure he gets a lot of people like, hey, look, I made this for you. And it's some shitty dude just weld a bunch of stuff together and be like, look at this. And that's great.
But what's crazy is that he could have got buried underneath all those people.
He could have,
like
yeah.
the chances of
like,
him seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of timing and luck and just, yeah. Yeah.
When did you first start getting into metal fabricating and welding? I mean, did you start doing that as a kid? I mean, did you grow up doing that? Did your parents do it?
I didn't. No, not really. I was working in a grocery store and screwing up in college, and my brother was kind of telling me that, you know, you need to get a good trade or something because you're going to be a fuck up, basically. And I got a job screwing down floors in a trailer factory, and my brother kept telling me to talk to the owner, maybe see if I could learn to weld and weld on the job for the amount he was paying me to screw down floors. And somebody got fired, like on the spot. They actually got hauled off to jail. And as the boss was walking through the plant, I jumped down off the trailer and I said, hey, learn to weld for I think it was $7.50 an hour I was making.
Because welders make a shit ton of money.
Not really. That's kind of a misconception. There are some that make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, but, I know around here, if you're a welder, like even like some of the factories and stuff, if you do repairs and everything, they get paid pretty much damn money. I mean, that's
yes,
here.
Some do.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving over there like 3 days later, and they had me on the saw and tacking parts up. And my brother has always been into cars and fixing up cars, and you know, he welded and he could do anything. And so I grew up around stuff like that, like motorcycles and race cars, drag cars, just whatever they wanted to do. Some of him and his friends even had their own, you know, crash derbies. They'd buy old cars, and
yeah,
one of them had a plaster, and they'd line them up.
I'm trying to do that.
We're not doing that.
Yeah. Have you ever been involved in a crew for a demolition derby?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I've been to plenty of them though.
I'm trying to like get the radio show involved, have my friend drive, and then get like 100 people to just show up and take over the demolition derby. It'll be fun. We'll film it all.
I think I'm too old for that.
Yeah, Fessler's a lot younger than us, but he agreed to drive. But I don't know. I haven't been to a derby in a while.
But with the learning to weld thing, I started there, and it just kind of took off. And I changed jobs from there and went to another place where the welding increased a little bit more, but the fabrication increased also. And then I switched it up and I went to build motorhomes for about 4 years. And I was a team captain with 3 other people, and we built them start to finish. So they'd roll in as a cutaway chassis, like no floor or no walls, or just a van front and a motor, and we would build them to the very finish in about 3 days. And So we do that every 3 days. I did that for about 4 years, and then I went back to welding and fabrication.
Once you got into the welding and fabrication, at what point did you start realizing that you were doing things good enough or in a way that you could start doing this as your own profession and not working under anyone?
It really started when I moved to Columbia. So I was in Iowa, and we moved here for the autism resources and the medical resources for my kids. And pretty much kind of, we didn't really know anybody, and I always had this dream. I was going to start my own business, and I told my wife when we first got married that I just want to build cool shit and sell it. And I literally said that. I'm a moron. So when I moved to Columbia, I started putting ads on Craigslist. I had a limited set of tools. I had a welder and a grinder and a cutoff wheel, and then I had some carpentry tools. And this is a service town. Like, there's 3 colleges here in town. People pay to have their lawn mowed. They pay to have doors put in. They pay to have kitchens remodeled. They don't really do a lot themselves. And so if you do good work in this town, you can stay real busy. Mm-hmm. And I put an ad on Craigslist. I had a job the 3rd day I was here. And on that job, I managed to drum up about 2 months worth of work. And then I've just been busy ever since. And doing a lot of like home improvement stuff, but along the way, people wanting custom this and that. And, I'd always take the money and reinvest in my business and buy, a tool or whatever for the shop and just continue to grow in what I do. And along the way with special requests, and I kind of saw the niche coming for it, but I also saw with my son being affected by autism that when he becomes an adult, he's going to live with us for the rest of his life or the rest of our lives, and we need to be able to take care of him. And my wife works a full-time job for the university here, and she carries all the benefits, and so I just continued to work towards this goal. And I narrowed down my home improvement business down to pretty much doors and windows and trim work and fine trim work, and so I could get in 6 hours and then get back home.
Yeah, because like, what did you have to offer when you first started? Because what it is now is nothing like what it was in the beginning, because it seems like you're being pulled in for these like very extreme, almost like art type, like when you did the stairs outside and stuff like that. Like, you weren't doing stuff like that off the beginning. So like, where was the actual transition from when you were like, all right, like this is getting stepped up? Because this is all before even the Joe Rogan clock, correct?
Correct. It started, I started working with a designer on the home improvement side of things, and he's seen like some of the metal work I did, and he also had a furniture store at one point in time, and so he wanted to design furniture. I made him a couple pieces for some bases that he sold, and he started to use me more and more. And then one day he had a restaurant come to him he was the designer they hired, and they wanted metal and wood furniture. And so I call this my breakout project. It's the Barred Owl here in town. It's a beautiful restaurant. Young people own it. And I brought them many samples, and I was about ready to give up. And the final sample they loved. And so I ended up building 30 tables, a huge bar.
God damn.
20-foot.
What was your timeline?
What's that?
What was the timeline?
I was kind of fortunate, I'm the last guy in, so everybody else running behind kind of just put, so they gave me money down, and I was like, oh shit, I got $9,000 with like nothing, and so I took that down payment, I invested in some tooling, and I bought all the materials, and I built 30 tables in the bar, and then I built they told me they were going to spend $10,000 in alcohol for their bar. So I built a 20-foot wide, 12-foot tall shelving system, all out of 1.5-inch square tube. And then I put a rolling ladder on the front, like a library ladder.
Yeah, like the old library ones you could reach. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a liquor ladder.
Yeah, that's
And-
awesome. So much better than stupid books.
Right? And so then a couple barn doors, and and there's lots of other contractors that did great work on the job, but like the finish furniture stuff was the stuff I did. And man, it's a new restaurant in town. They've been awesome too. Like they just called me the other day and said they ran out of my business cards. This was 3 years ago. And they're still handing out my number. And from there, it was one contractor to one designer to this bar. Hey, and Fretboard Coffee. He turned out to be a good friend of mine, and I've remodeled his whole place.
Yeah, that looked crazy.
I don't know if I'm ever going to work for him again because we've done everything in his place. But I've been able to just sprinkle stuff throughout town, and it's been great. It's been pretty awesome to build it and watch it grow.
How long, because there had to have been a point where you had to like kind of step up your confidence and where you were going from tack welding to building like these tables and wood, and like how long before it took you to kind of fall into your own, where you trusted your creativity and like you trusted your vision, where you could be like, nah, like this is what they're going to like, and I am going to do it. And like, you know what I mean? Like it takes a while for someone to kind of get the courage to believe in themselves that what they're picturing in their head is what somebody else is going to like, or they're going to get blown away with it. I mean, some people are a little over arrogant and that lies with things, but you don't seem like that type at all. So like, how long did it actually take for you to kind of get that step forward?
Well, I appreciate that, but I doubt myself every day. I think it's part of what drives me.
Yeah.
And, yeah, for sure. But I will say there was one project that, the Barred Owl was definitely a great project, but my mom hired me to build a playhouse caboose playhouse. She wanted it to look like a caboose for her grandkids in the backyard. And I kind of put her off, and she goes, look, I'm going to hire somebody to do this.
Oh, no.
Send me a number, and I pay you to do it, and I was like, okay. So I sent her the number, and it was, I think I told her like $6,000. I didn't give her the mom price. I gave her the, you're a client price, and she threw me the down payment. And so I started building this thing, and I kind of procrastinated because I was a little scared, but I did the framework, and I remember it was late at night, and I stood back and looked at it, and it looked exactly like I wanted it to.
Yeah.
And that was because I planned it. It's because I actually, from the vision in my mind, I sat down and worked out on the numbers and the scale, and I was willing to take steps backwards. So I was like, okay, I'm never going to know if I got this right if I'm not willing to fuck it up. And so I went in there willing to fuck it up, and I stood back, and like that, when I framed it up and I stood back and looked at it, I was like, that's it. And it was a moment for me. It was really, I can build whatever the hell I want as long as I just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Were you always, like when you say you have to take a step back and make sure all the numbers are correct, are the numbers side of it, is that easy for you to take a step back, or are you kind of like, for me, it's like I'm always rushing to get the idea out of my head. And then over the years of growing up and just failing and trying different things, where I'm at now, it's like I take a step back and I'm like, no, man, like you got to start watching, like, how long is this realistically going to take? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Like, where even to the point where I told you I want to do Skype, and then me seeing how long this actually took to set up Skype is now changed things on how I view things. So were you always one that wanted to chase getting that out of your head, or were you always good with kind of taking a step back?
I take a step back. I think the biggest thing for me and being able to, I have to lay it out to be a professional, because I have to be able to show it to a client. I can't say, don't just trust me, I'm going to build it, So I've learned, I've learned to build on SketchUp, to use SketchUp to draw things. I don't always use SketchUp, but it's starting to help give my clients, if they're going to send me $30,000 for a staircase, then I should be able to provide them something that they know is coming, and so that, I just I had to start taking it more seriously if I wanted to be in the business.
Yeah, and I'm sure that wasn't hard for you because, like what you said in the beginning, you just wanted to make cool shit and sell it. So, like, it is, when it's on paper and you are doing that, and it's a lot of work. That's kind of what the cool shit end of it was.
Yeah, I like working with designers too, because then I don't really have to create anything. They've brought me. We either together sit down and hash out a design and what's possible, because they're a designer, but they may not always know like how it's going to work, fabrication wise. And so most of the designers I work with, they're fantastic, and we can sit for 15 minutes and come down with a plan and then do a sketch. And a lot of times, just based off the sketch, they're good.
Now, we've talked about it before on the show, even the guy who did our table and stuff. Like, is the hardest part, like, how do you price stuff? Like, how can you sit there and, like, something's going to take, like, say that thing you made for your mom, how would you even come up with a price for that? There is no, like, sliding scale. There's no, like, do you figure in your head on hours? Or do you just kind of figure, like, I'm spending this much time taking away from everybody else? Or how do you do that?
I put a price on it by the hours, but I figure everything by 8 hours, by a day. Mm-hmm. I know what I can accomplish in a day. And so I sit and look at a project. If it's, say, a staircase or something like that, I look at it. I'll add it up for 3 weeks a time, we'll say. Mm-hmm. And I'll, 8 hours a day, and I'll multiply that times my shop rate. Yeah. And then I go through and add up the materials. I sit down and do the work. But experience really helps with that.
Now, have you ever lost your ass on something when you just said, oh, I'll do it for this, and it ended up just being way too much work?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
I've come a little short on some of them, mostly because of my dumbass mistakes or something like that, But I'm fortunate enough that I've made a lot of mistakes on other people's dime when I, worked for factories and stuff like that, that I cut the side skin to a motorhome down. We built 10 of them all the same, and for some reason we had to cut the skins down on our team versus like them being cut down over in the fiberglass section. And so every time I had to take measurements, and then I had to add 2 inches on 10 units.
Yeah.
On 10th freaking unit, I didn't add the 2 inches. And so I go to throw the skins up, and they won't tuck under either side because I cut it the freaking length that it is and not the 4 inches longer overall. And my boss looks at me and he goes, how the fuck did you do that after 10 units? I'm like, I don't know. I just do dumb shit now and then. But I didn't double check my measurements, and so I do that shit now because it really hurts. When it directly hits your pocket, it sucks.
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought the phone was cutting out, but it's good.
Oh.
How did it feel that first week when you transitioned out of working in a factory and working for somebody else, and then that first week where you kind of start picking up your work and you're like, no, this is going to be what I do for the rest of my life?
How did I come to that decision?
Well, yeah, how did you come to that decision to walk away from your other job, and how did that first week feel?
It was crazy. So it all happened with the move to Columbia. I left a job in Humboldt, and then I moved to Columbia, all my shit in one move. And we actually got here at midnight. We have 4 flat tires on the way. It was supposed to be a 6-hour drive.
Oh, no.
It ended up being a 13-hour drive. And so I showed up at midnight, sight unseen, just, paid the dude money over line, and he left the key hidden. I showed up, unloaded our sleeping bags and whatever, and woke up the next day jobless and in a whole different place that I'd never seen before.
Oh my God. How was that?
It was awesome. It was scary as shit, but I've said it before. I think that sometimes I think I do the best work when my back's against the wall. And when you wake up and you're looking out into a backyard that you know you're paying for, but you never seen before, and you don't have a job, and your goal is to work for yourself now. Like, that was truly when my back was against the wall. You know, I had a kid who, my son Ethan, he was waiting for a kidney transplant, and so we knew we had that coming at us, and that was why we moved to Columbia, is because we knew they could do it in town, and we were 2 hours away in Humboldt from any hospital that could do that.
Yeah.
And that would just be financially devastating, you know. And so we had been wanting to move for the autism resources, and so we just made the move happen.
I think it's awesome too. A lot of people don't realize that. Yeah, I mean, and you hear it all the time. You know, when you work for yourself, you're quitting a 40-hour job to work an 80-hour job for yourself, and it is true. But the good thing is, like, even in your situation, like, yeah, you can bust your ass all day long for 12, 13 hours if you have to, and then if you need to do something with your family, you can just go. And the problem being tied into places, you're like, I gotta go. They don't want to let you go anywhere. They don't want to let you take off. You know, this way you can set your own schedule. You can bust your ass nonstop, bang out a bunch of things, and go, you know what? I'm going to take like a half a day and go do whatever I want. That's why people always say, like, why would you want to run your own business? Like, it seems so hectic. It seems like there's so much stuff. But that's why. You know, when I had my business, that was great. If it was slow, I'd just go to the movies by myself, go to the store, buy a gun, and just giggle like, oh, what'd you do all day? And I tell the wife, oh, I was really busy at work today. And I come home and I have a fucking gun. Like, I don't know what happened. It just showed up. I don't know. But yeah, or he's like, hey, I'm going to go to the range today. But yeah, I love people that start their own business. And like I said, I know it's terrifying because like when I did mine too, it was just, my boss said, hey, you should take over the business. And I was like, well, that's great. I've never run a business before. Yeah, you're good. Just do what you're doing and you'll be fine. Yeah, that sounds all well and good when you're giving me a paycheck. But now that if I don't do something and I don't make any money, now I have a wife and kids that are like, hey, we have to pay for this. You know, there's a lot riding on your shoulders, especially you showing up middle of the night, not knowing anything. So that's a whole day basically to set up, at least a day, just to be comfortable enough to start even thinking about what you're going to do. Yeah.
I mean, I had somewhat of a plan, and kind of seems silly to even call it a plan talking about it now, but you know, I had some money I did a bathroom remodel quick before I left for a buddy of mine, so I had, you know, a little cash squirreled away, but I mean, not enough. And but I just made great connections and just kept working. But it all changed when I met the designer. He brought a different level of understanding of business to me. Yeah. And, you know, because I'm just a dumb artist. I'm not a businessman. And I failed accounting. You know, I barely got through that stuff in school because I just didn't have the attention span for it, and I still don't. Nothing's changed, you know. But I can dream up some shit, and I can build it and create it. And
yeah, that's a whole different way to think, man. Like, I can't, like, the things you're doing and you're thinking about it and drawing it all up and do it. My mind doesn't think like that. I have no fucking idea. I'll watch your videos when you're cutting stuff. I have no idea what the fuck you're doing. And somehow at the end, it's this beautiful piece of thing. And I'm like, I did not fucking see that coming. Mine would just be a pile of shit. And I would just weld it together and call it some fucking weird art fucking project I did.
Like when you made those potted flowers for Mother's Day.
I didn't know what was going on.
Like, those looked so crazy.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, I might make more if they sell. And then you're like, they're all gone.
They're all gone.
I'm like, of course. Those are crazy.
How awesome is that? You're like, this is a fuck around thing. Like, I'm going to make these. And then people are like, I want to buy every single one. And then everybody buys them. Like, that's got to be awesome.
You know what drove that? I'm going to sound like a total asshole, but what drove that was everybody fresh in the fabrication world, and some people keep doing it, make those metal roses, you know?
Yep.
And some of them are really pretty and all that, but I'm kind of always looking at them like, yeah, I'm not making one of those, you know? And I had a client for a sign that I had to make flowers, and they were more petaled type, like, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 petaled flowers, you know, simple. And I had some left over, and so that flower thing, I was like, well, I'm going to make my little spin on everybody else's flower thing, but I was like, they never finished it. They never made a vase, and if they did they put it in a glass vase, you know. And so I made my own cute little flower pot using, you know, diamond plate and all these.
It looks so cool.
Yeah.
And I gave it to my wife, and I said, "Here are some flowers you can't kill," and handed them to her. And she took it, you know. And so they sat at work, and I posted up a picture of them, just thinking like, I'm totally gonna get made fun of for this, you know. Just didn't think really that they were gonna hit. And then they just took off, and people were messaging me, asking me, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not building them." And then when Mother's Day came around, or coming close, I made a template for every piece. And you still cut it out by hand, but I took the time to make measurements so that I could make them efficiently, but yet still make them one of a kind, you know. And I had my help cut out all the individual parts, and sometimes I cut them out, and we made 20 of them suckers and sold them at $150 a pop, which is essentially about 2 hours of labor, not counting materials, and, you know, which is fast paced to build them. But hell, if I'm selling art and I'm getting art out there and making a little money, like, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you ever see that video? Like, the stuff like that goes. Jesse James makes ashtrays. Did you ever see him make an ashtray? He just takes he takes a billet. He was just fucking around, and it was a video. I follow him because that dude fabricating is just ridiculous. But he just took a billet and he's like, check out my new fucking press. It's probably fucking $1 million. Check out this press, and he just squats down this fucking billet, takes a pipe, puts it under the thing, and it just puts 2 little lines across. He's like, look, it's an ashtray. And then all of a sudden, the next day, he's like, hey, does anybody want to buy these? They're $350 a piece. And now he can't fucking keep them on the site. Like, people are just like, oh my God, these are great. It's a fucking billet that he's just squishing and putting 2 little dug-in lines, and he just stamps it and sells it for $300 some. Like, that's fucking crazy. But
well, it's Jesse James.
That's
though,
right. And people are like, hey, man, anything that has his name on it, I want it. But that's crazy.
He's got the Midas touch as far as that goes, you know. But hey, man, he's deserved every bit of it. He's an awesome
he's a hard
artist,
worker,
you know?
man. He's a hard worker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you go to like a tech school at all growing up, or like did you have the options of going to tech school?
No, sir, I did not. I had options to do a lot of different things. I really just didn't focus on it. When I started college, I did go to college for 1.5 years, sort of went to college, you know, and I was going to be an art teacher because I'm lazy, and I thought summers off would be really cool. And, now I'm a business owner, and I work 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, you know. Yeah. But no.
How did it feel once you got, like, because like you start the business and it's super scary, and you know you're getting your things going, and I'm sure there's times where some weeks you're getting money coming in, some weeks there's not coming in, and there's the back and forth, and like that's all the stress and the crazy, and it's like you keep telling yourself, this is gonna work out, and that's the hardest part is keep believing that you can still reach the end goal. How did it feel once you had enough money and things kind of like leveled out, where you're like, finally, like, okay, like now I got something here, let's build the fuck off of it?
Man, I'm still kind of working on that, to be honest. There's always been something, you know, whether it's a tool breaking, or, you know, you don't get to work because your truck's breaking down, so you go and buy a new truck, or, you know, since we've been in Columbia, both my kids, between the 2 of them, have had 3 kidney transplants, you know, total. And so, you know, with time off and medical bills, like, we have great insurance, so we're very fortunate for that. But still, the time off just kicks you right in the nuts, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, having enough money to breathe allows me to think about the project and the care of the project, and really just putting in the effort that I want to, that maybe I'm not 100% getting paid for, but in return business and taking care of the client and delivering a quality product and doing exactly what you said you're going to do, you know, to not have to chase the backside of the payment, the check, and get to the next check, essentially, to be able to just finish a product fully through with just focus on quality and nailing every point. Like that's a great feeling, being able to focus like that. But sometimes I do everything out of pocket. So far, everything I've done built off of down payments and the finish, in the 50%, the end 50%. And so there's a lot of this, a lot of ups and downs, and it gets difficult sometimes. But the thing I'll never do is deliver a product that's crap.
Yeah. With the ups and downs and fluctuating like that, I feel like even though that goes on and some days they're crazy and some days they're not and whatnot, that the feeling in between that is way better than being completely flat at a 9 to 5.
Yeah. I couldn't see going back and working for anybody else. I just, the 9 to 5, like today was kind of an easy day. I knew I had this appointment coming up, and so there was things I have an install tomorrow, so there's things I was doing to prep for that install, and just again, like being able to have the time to focus on showing up, making sure nothing gets dinged or scratched, and just taking time to take care of everything. That's the greatest position to be in.
When did you start getting into the clocks?
The clocks.
Like how does that's such that's probably such a difficult build. Like it's just so unique. Like is it something that you did once and then clients now ask you for it? Like because I mean I know you did the one for Rogan, but you had to have been doing clocks before that, correct?
I built 5 clocks before I built a grandfather clock. I built 5 wall clocks.
So you never. So the first grandfather clock you built was for Rogan.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's not. I would not have enough fucking confidence in anything I did. Yeah,
my brother. So here's my brother and I. My brother's like I've always been chasing kind of the shadow of my brother. He's an awesome artist.
Older brother.
And my older brother.
Yeah.
And so we talk a lot about projects and things like that, and I probably owe a lot to him for just kind of advice on things or like how things look. But I talked to him on Skype, and I'm like, Joe Rogan's following me, and he's like, holy shit. He's like, what are you going to build him? And I said, I don't know. And prior to that, he had been telling me to build a grandfather clock, not for Rogan, but just to build and sell. And I'm like, dude, I built 5 clocks. I'm like, you're crazy. Like grandfather clock, like that's so much bigger. And then when I decided, like it all kind of clicked in my head, I was like, I should build Rogan a clock. I should build him a grandfather. I wanted to build him something that he'd put right in the studio, Yeah. And so I texted Rogan about that grandfather clock thing, and then talked to my brother later that week. Said, I'm going to build Rogan a grandfather clock. And he was like, are you fucking crazy? And
it's like, do you even know the internal components of a grandfather clock? Like, no.
Well,
no.
So the internal components are all electronic. They're just they're just some battery operated stuff that I stuck in there. Yeah. Look, if I gave him a mechanical grandfather clock, he would have never put it up because those
he would have kept that shit at his house. Yeah. Yeah. No, I have my grandparents have one, and they've had it ever since I was a kid. And when they had to move out and they went to like retirement homes, I had the option to take it. And I was like, man, I would love this thing. But yeah, there's people that come in there that constantly have to adjust it, and it's too much of a bother. And I know I'm lazy, so it would look cool for like a cool couple months, and then the shit would start to drift, and then I wouldn't do it justice. So I just said, I let somebody else take it. And I was like, I wouldn't do it justice. Now the firearm, that nobody's getting that shit. I have the firearms. I'll fucking,
So I just took a down payment on to put it on my schedule for a grandfather clock because of the one I built Rogan. One of his fans, so the lady contacted me because her husband had been bugging her about he wants a grandfather clock like Joe Rogan's. And she said the whole time he talked about it, she just blew him off because she thought it was like, her grandfather's grandfather clock, like in a wooden.
Yeah.
And she's like, no way I'm ever going to put one of those in my basement, so forget it. And he ended up making her look it up or whatever. She told me the story, and they called, and I actually had a design for the next one I want to build. I sent them the photos of the design, and they sent me a deposit to build it.
Oh my God, that's so nuts.
So my third grandfather clock I'm going to build is an actual sold piece, and so back to why I build clocks is because it's functional art.
Yeah.
And I could build a sculpture of something, whatever, funky with holes in it or something, and then build a grandfather clock. And if a wife and husband who have to make a decision to spend $5-6 grand or whatever it may be, I feel like they could justify spending money on a clock versus a sculpture that really doesn't do anything.
Well, and the fact that they're getting something that no one has that one. Like it's, you know what I mean? You can't, if somebody sees that and go, well, I really like that. Where'd you get it? Oh, I had it made custom. No one's going to get the exact same clock. So that makes it awesome as it is.
Yeah. I have a lot of people that tell me I should get a CNC and have those things cut out and, make 10 of them or whatever. And I may do that on smaller items, but, it's just not, like, I may get a CNC someday to, like, help me with some of the fabrication stuff, but, man, I think they look the way they look because I do it by hand. And I just don't want to go that route. I had a gentleman call me to try and sell me a CNC for like 20-30 grand. And I was like, shit, I don't have 20-30 grand, And, but if I didn't do it by hand, I don't think they'd have the unique look. And I've also had people say that they're going to build one just like it, and like, go for it, because I don't think I could build another one like it.
What, like, just the clock itself just blows my mind.
He's just out of his mind.
How long did that even take you to build?
I could probably build another one in a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rogan's and the Fighter and the Kid, like...
Were the two of them different?
Yeah, they said the Fighter and the Kid was
they're totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell that I built, I think.
Yeah.
You could tell that I built.
Well, no, I've seen both of them. You could definitely tell that, like, the craftsmanship's super similar.
My question is, how heavy are they? Are they real heavy or? Yeah.
I look at Rogan's now and go, man, I just like, it was the coolest thing I ever built when I built it. But now I look at it and I'm like, man, that thing sucks.
So do you look at it as things you would do differently now?
No, maybe a little bit, but I just see the primitive stages of where I was at.
Yeah.
With the tooling I had, and also maybe not confidence in my abilities.
Like, what also is crazy is, like, his setup in that room, there's just so many weird things, and all the weird things go together, and then that clock is kind of like what holds the room together now. Like, the fact of, like, how you made that and how it looks and everything, like there's definitely someone, or if you would have made that differently, like, he could have definitely not liked the clock and then put it somewhere else in the studio, or, like, had it off to the side, and then like that's such a forefront.
And he has a warehouse, so he could put it in any other room. Like, he's got tons of rooms.
When he messaged me and he wanted to pay me for it after I built shops, and I told him no, and I felt like it's been paid for 10 times over, and he said it will forever be a part in his studio. And that was awesome.
And just think about the people that go through there.
Yeah, I never even thought of it from that angle.
Every fucking important person that goes through there and just goes, yo, that clock is fucking awesome. And he'll go, yeah, this guy built it. Here's his name. You can't pay for advertising. That gets you that access to the people that go there.
One of the fun things about it is there's people that kind of doubted. I don't know if they thought I was lying or if they thought it never happened or whatever, but the whole concept, when I mentioned that I was building this clock for Joe Rogan and I was doing it for nothing, they're like, "You're crazy. That dude has all kinds of money. What are you even thinking?" And I'm like, "I'm thinking about exposure. I'm thinking about just opportunity as an artist. And worst case scenario, I built something for Joe Rogan. But to this day, that thing, and we've talked about it, I don't know how many times at this point, but it still continues to pay me back. So, I mean, if that ends up being the thing that defines me, whatever. But
I don't think it is. I think you've even since the build and I talked to you, I've seen such growth in what you're doing where I was just like, it's kind of like you stepped out of the shadow of the clock, and then now you've done things that I think are just as equally as cool as the clock. They might not be on as big as a platform as that, but like even that staircase that you made was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I'm actually starting another one really the next week. I started talking to the client today about picking some things out and ordering some things, and it's going to be a nice staircase. I mean, they spent some money on it, and I've got 2 more lined up after that. This year, since January, I've picked up 4-5 local home builders and a couple designers and an architect that they just build custom homes or remodeling, and
people want specific things done, and then they are like, hey, this guy does this artistic look, and that's usually what everyone's looking for, but most people either don't have access to somebody doing that or can't find somebody to do it.
Yeah, or like I saw on your website, you do like even little stuff like drawer like handles and stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
there's so many layers to what this guy does.
There's so much money involved in that, because if you get a builder that likes that style, they can put that in every single house they get.
Yeah, like because you did the custom, was it your mom's bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff even came out crazy too. Just how you lay it out and choose how to do everything. It's ridiculous.
I try to, make it as functional as possible and then build the beauty into the function. And Mom, like I put a lot of effort into Mom's stuff. Mom's really supported a lot in what I do. There's been times where I needed a tool or something like that, and she's helped me out with that in one way or the other, and whether I have to pay her back or if it's a gift or, and also like what I've learned from her. She's always had her own business since she was young.
What did she do?
And she cut hair. So she had hair salons.
Yeah.
And then, and she also had a car dealership and a few other little things. And she worked for my uncle who owns his own business. And my father had his own business for quite a few years until I was about a teenager too.
So you always grew up around kind of business owners and business operators and things like that nature.
Yep. And, Mom is great at promoting. When Mom cut hair, she never paid for one advertisement on the radio station because she didn't have to. She cut all their hair for free, and then they just talk about her.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Yeah, you basically you everybody gets to see what you do just walking around, and I feel that word of mouth and stuff like that it's a bigger impact, because somebody goes and goes, hey, I really like your hair, where'd you go? Yeah, you couldn't pay for that. I mean, you can put that shit in the Yellow Book or whatever stupid ad stuff they tell, and I have stories about those fucking people, and they call me how they want to advertise. They're not worth shit. Like I had a guy from Yellow Book tell me that if I didn't continue paying to have this massive ad in the thing, I would just get lost. No one would know how to get a hold of me. And I was like, well, I think my phones still fucking work, and last I checked, like they're still ringing. So, but yeah, all that shit, word of mouth is always better, and doing like similar things you're doing. I mean, you get it out. I mean, how many people are going to see the stuff that you do? And it's just like, hey, I know who did that. You just got to make sure the only thing you got to worry about is, you have to give business cards everywhere, because people are going to know your name. You know what I mean? Business cards are fucking worth their weight in gold. And a lot of people don't take the time, or they do shitty business cards. If you have a cool,
I found that giving people, like, I'll talk to somebody in line, they'll ask me what I do or whatever, and I'm pretty quick to pull out my phone. I can sit and tell people that I build furniture or signs or whatever,
Yep.
and they're like, oh yeah, and I've literally made connections and gotten jobs from standing in line at Starbucks and somebody asking that very question, and I just open my phone. I'm like, I build stuff like this or this, and
What do they say? You do that?
yeah, nuh-uh.
Yeah. But again, with my mom, the hustle that she puts in and put into her businesses, and then the work ethic that she raised me with was, man, I freaking hated weekends at our house, because I would wake, like, especially in the summers, I'd wake up in the morning and there'd be a yellow legal pad, and I don't know how the hell she set the time aside to make this list before she went to work, but I would wake up and there'd be this list of stuff to do, and at the bottom it would say, do this before you go see your friends. And if I didn't have the list done, it was going to be a lot less fun to do the same amount of work.
Yeah.
When she got home. Yeah. And she was, she didn't beat us or anything like that too much, but she just really made us work and held us accountable. And if it wasn't for the work ethic that she taught me, I don't know that I'd show up every day or be doing the things that I do today.
Do you think that style of work ethic is around anymore?
I think it is. I don't know about as much.
Yeah.
I think the work ethic here in Missouri is a little different than in Iowa, where I was at. In Iowa, it seemed like on job sites and anywhere you worked, like, people wanted to leave at 3 o'clock or clock out at, noon on Friday, but like they didn't or couldn't. And here, man, if you show up at a job site to do an install on a Friday afternoon, like, nobody's there. Like, everybody's gone. And it's Friday. They're checked out, picking up a 6-pack down at the break time gas station or something. But I think that more than anything, the work ethic's probably just different than it is less.
Yeah. Now, you've mentioned art several times, and you talked about being an art teacher. When you were growing up, what was your art influences, and were your parents or brothers or siblings involved in art? Like, where did you actually get into art? I mean, because, you're not into art unless you call yourself an artist, so, like, where did it all start?
Yeah. I've only become comfortable in the last few years to call myself an artist. I always wanted to be an artist. I've always drawn and sketched or messed around with different things, but I really, like, my brother, just, how it is, you got an older brother, you want to be just like big brother, and my brother through high school and out of high school did a lot of hot rods and cars and paintings and just played around with metal, did all kinds of different things, and so I grew up kind of wanting to be like my brother, but I did have some artistic ability to build off of. And
did that get pulled from your mother and your father's side?
I think mostly from my mom's side. She says she can't draw anything, but she was really good at doing hair.
Yeah.
She was really good at landscaping and shaping and molding and designing her home. And, mom's real good with her hands. And, Dad was a hard worker, and I don't remember him being, like, super crafty or anything like that. He passed when I was 24, and so it was like in 99. And so he, I honestly didn't get to know him that well.
Yeah. Now, with your brother doing the heavy art influence and you kind of chasing up after him, what was kind of the first thing where your brother started noticing you kind of catching up or being in that art realm?
I'm not really sure. The one thing he's always been is, like, super supportive. He I can like talk to him about something and be like, I'm going to use that idea, and I may use it to a certain way, or I may use it just how he laid out, or I might put my own spin on it, But I think he's always been an influence and probably always will be. And to this day, like people will comment on my page, hey, check this guy out. Him and his brother are super talented. And so, like, it makes me realize I may not ever get out from underneath the shadow of Big Brother, but that's all right. I mean, if you got constantly something to chase, then great.
You're always moving forward.
He doesn't do Instagram. He has a good job and a difficult, real technical job. And Tony can rebuild motors and stuff like that. And I probably could if I focused on it, but I also probably might not run when I'm done too. And so he has a kind of a different style of job, but he, anyways, he doesn't really do stuff I do today.
Do you guys ever collab on anything?
No, he's in Iowa. So if we collab on anything, it's mostly like ideas. And like I said, I can call him up and I'll say, hey, I got a project coming up and I'm kind of struggling on this area of it, and he'll throw out some things, and then I kind of chew on it overnight, and he's a great help. He doesn't make any money off of me either. So
what do you have lined up for like kind of like bigger projects coming down the way? Do you have anything like crazy creative like the grandfather clock that you did for Rogan? Like, do you have any projects in the back of your head that are just kind of like not work, but they're just kind of like itching?
Yeah, so the grandfather clock that I sold, I'm itching to do that. One of the bad things about having social media is that you have a list of people that want you to build their stuff. And so if they see you fucking around building a grandfather clock and their stuff isn't done, I always kind of think about that. But the grandfather clock that the people put a down payment on, I want to start that because everything's work except for that stuff. I fully enjoy the work I do, but to get the little escape I can and still get things done, like having stuff like that or signs to build, I really love that stuff. That stuff, I can just put some real life into it. And so I try to save that stuff for weekends or evenings or just maybe days that I'm not really feeling like focusing on somebody's staircase.
Yeah.
And I'll go over and do that. But I just now been able to really have the space to do that too. I've been building everything out of a 2-car garage up until a month ago.
Yeah, I told you I kind of wanted to touch base on that because that was another thing with watching how fast you were growing. And not how fast, but like how you were growing is that then you got into a bigger shop, which probably you knew you needed a bigger shop probably a long time ago.
I did. When I had a 1-car garage, we moved out of that place, bought a house with a 2-car garage, and I was stoked. I was just like, man, I got all this space. And about a month later, I was like, shit.
No, I don't.
Yeah. And so, this has always been in the scope, but there was so many, with the medical stuff with the kids and then just life too, other things in life, getting in the way to make this the priority, and so in the last 2 years, I'd say we really put it into focus. My wife and I both could see it was really growing, and it was, that river table I just kicked out, I built that in my basement in my old house, and I had it's 15 foot by 3.5 foot wide, and it was in my family room in my basement. I poured the epoxy river table down there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, isn't that awesome? That epoxy shit is really crazy. It adds so much
It's
like
pretty
cool look
cool.
to it. Yeah.
So going from that to now, I have 1,500 square feet, which is 4 times the amount what I had. It's a huge relief. because I was doing like there are some days that I really couldn't work in the shop because I had things in the shop and it was raining and I couldn't shove them outside. And so I'd either have to work around those things or just find something else to do or stick them in the basement. And that river tabletop weighed probably 500, 600 pounds.
Jesus. Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I arranged 5 people to come help me carry that out of the basement after I built it. And now keep in mind, I spent $1,500 in epoxy and $2,600 on the wood for the project. And I had to carry this thing out my back door of my basement, around the backyard, up a hill, and into the garage without scratching it or messing it up. And I called 4 buddies and said, hey, we're going to move this thing today so I can mill it and sand it in the shop. Well, I'm one of the taller guys that showed up, and the other taller guy, I put him at the other end, and then the shorter guys were in the middle. And what I didn't think about is that when we picked it up, the shorter guys couldn't.
Yeah, they're not going to add any help. They're not going to add any help. They're just going to not be able to reach it.
That thing got heavy about 10 steps out the door. Yeah. And we were another 300 feet away from where we needed to be, uphill.
Have you done a lot of other wood projects besides the table? Because I know you said you did woodworking as well.
I do, I do some woodworking. I'm looking to expand into that a little bit more, just because now I have the space for the tooling. But I try to give the client whatever they want. So if they want a solid wood product, I'll build them that, and I have the ability to do all of that. Most of the time, people want wood and metal integrated together, and so like for the staircases, this next staircase, it's 2.5-inch thick wood treads, and I just call the local mill shop and I have them get those treads to size for me roughly, and then I trim them down and shape them, and route the edges and sand them and stain them and finish them. But I'm looking to get like the belt sander and things like that to improve my woodworking side.
When did you start? Because I didn't start really messing around. I mean, this isn't comparable to what you do at all, but like I never even thought of using LED lights on anything till a friend of mine turned me on to putting them behind my TV. And when I put them behind my TV and it gave this accent light, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. But then when I saw you were doing that on your projects, like that adds such another element to everything.
Yeah, that's exactly why I did it. And I think I did it on 1 project or 2 projects before Rogan's. And then I built that grandfather clock, maybe even a few more, but I built that grandfather clock so that it would look awesome with lighting in it.
Yeah.
And they don't have it on, and I'm hoping the lights still work, but it might be a distraction in the studio as well, with the lights on. But I think, I saw what lighting would do and just adding another layer, like you said. And I mean, some of the light kits, none of them really go over a couple $100.
Yeah.
And, so it's worth it.
Yeah, like I saw how much that changed. What did you do? The one for the college? It was like the panther or tiger head.
The Mizzou Tigers logo.
Yeah. How did you get pulled up into the college? Your wife worked there, or?
She works for the medical side, but that is an event that somebody puts on to raise money for different charities, and I'm actually doing I'm doing an install on a project for that guy today that kind of runs that deal. And he hired me to build a sign for him, and then asked me if I'd be a part of this thing. And I was like, yeah, I think it's great. Any time that I have a chance to offer my art up to be auctioned off, I've had people reach out and help me through all our stuff that we've been through medically with the kids and stuff. And so I try and pay it forward when I can. And so I did Tigers on the Prowl last year, and that piece brought $3,000.
Yeah.
And then
So was that auctioned off where somebody bought that for like their home?
yeah, and it's actually back here because the light kit failed. It was a light kit which is super unfortunate to admit, but it is what it is. And the light kit failed, and it was a brand I was using out of the big box stores, and now I'm working with a different company, so I like theirs a lot better. But that one went for $3,000, and then that whole thing was set up where they give you 50% of what it brings, and so I got $1,500, and I thought that was pretty cool. And at the time, I needed the money, you know.
Yeah.
But this year I donated the whole thing, and I did an MU sign. And again, I stole their logo. There's like maybe some issues with that. I don't think I could really get sued, but you know, they have copyright stuff on that, but it's for charity. So
yeah,
know,
who's going to sue someone over charity?
Yeah, that's a dick. that's a dick move that they would be in the paper for.
You know, I had people very concerned last year when I did the Missouri Tiger logo, because I had people call me and say, hey, you know, they're very finicky about their logo. Are you sure you want to be using that? And I'm like, it's for charity. Look, I said, if they sue me over making their logo to raise money for charity, I'm like, that's every artist's PR dream.
Yeah. Well, that happened here with the they were doing an officer got shot on the side of the highway.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
random
all this.
stop. So to raise money to help, you know, he was a cop, obviously, his medical bills and everything, but it's the family and all their other stuff. So they were selling just yard signs, you know, and it said like, what did it say?
We support.
We back the blue or something like that, and
Yeah.
had a blue, you know, the flag, the blue line, whatever.
It was just like those little signs that they use
Just
for
basic
voting.
little, a chloroplast sign, like the little cheap little things that you put in yard signs, you know. And they were selling them like $10 a pop, and they sold a shit ton of them. Some organization that came out said they were a nonprofit, and that they stole their idea and their look of it, and just told them to stop selling them. And it was just like, it was in the paper. Like, you should have read the comments. Like, they're number one, they didn't steal anything from me. Number two, like, if they did, they're doing it to raise money for an officer that was shot.
Yeah, because he was in like critical condition.
Like that
on
dude,
the highway.
the guy who did the signs didn't make any money. He was like, "Listen, it's $10. Like, like I'm paying out of pocket for everything, and I'm donating everything." And it was just such a nightmare. They actually did come after him and say like they didn't want money. They just wanted it stopped. And they were like, okay, well, then you go to the cop's family and tell them that we're no longer going to help them because you want to raise money for your organization. Like, maybe you should have had the same gig that we did, the same promo that we did, because we're selling a shit ton of ours. And that's what it's like. It was crazy. But they do. People are dumb enough to do stupid stuff.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they reached out and, like, I'd probably just giggle about it. At least I think about it right now. But might get a little more serious if there was a letter that shows up.
Usually it'll make your butt pucker a little bit. You'll be like, oh damn.
They'd probably just ask you to make something for the school.
Cease and assist, or it'll just be like, hey man, if they know you didn't make any money off of it and it was for charity, I think they'll just say stop. Yeah. Like, don't use that again.
And realistically, like I could do a sculpture of a tiger because I mean it's supposed to be like kind of tiger themed.
Yeah.
You know? I could do a sculpture of a tiger, but again, like I guess the marketing side of me says, you know, I'm here to raise money. This is what I'm supposed to do. And
sure.
So I want to create something that everybody wants. And so creating a sign with the Missouri logo, the Mizzou logo, living in the same town as the college.
Yeah.
Like, the thing I said was like I wanted to build something that every dude would want in his man cave and every wife would allow in the basement. And if they don't argue about whether or not he can buy that piece, then it's going to go. You know, it's going to go for more money.
Sure.
More money. And last year, you know, it sold the most out of all the pieces. Not that it's a competition, but it went really well. And this year they have more artists. And man, some of the pieces are a lot cooler. Like the game I felt like got stepped up. So it'll be fun this year.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
and I look at my sign and I'm like, all these artists they created some beautiful paintings and sculptures. And I'm like, I'm looking at my piece going, I just straight stole the logo. I mean, it's
But you know what, though? I think most of the time you're okay. As long as you're not billing it as like, hey, this is the, a Mizzou sign, like, and you're playing it off as
Making 100 of them and selling them on
yeah,
eBay.
or you're playing it off as it's one of their signs that you redid, or as long as you're doing. I mean, it's a fucking tiger. I mean, how many different ways can you do a tiger?
but
They're gonna
you
look
can
the
come up
same
with all the
eventually.
excuses you want.
Yeah,
You can come up with all the reasons you want, but like
it doesn't matter when an
comes
attorney
down
gets
to it-
involved. Yeah, though I'll give you an example. I was fucking around and I had time the one day. I do bail bonds, so I was like, I'm gonna start another name so that I can get my name twice, like in all the shit. I'll start a DBA and I'll do the stuff and I'll design a new logo. I'll make shirts. I'll do everything. So I was just like fucking around and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the old Converse logo that was just a circle that had stitching all around it and then had like the stars, and it had. So I changed the stars. I added more stuff. I made the stitching. I turned them into dots and made them not look like stitching. I changed the way the letters, like different fonts of the letters. It's just like any of these other shirts you see, like the fucked logo that looks like the Ford logo. I thought I was fine. And I took a picture of it and my phone, like Google goggles, kicked on and took me to the Converse website. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I think I'm a little bit too close to what Converse is. So I actually contacted an attorney and I'm like, how far am I allowed to go with this? Like, I'm not going to make $1 million, but I'm going to do like a cool fucking logo. Like, I thought this looks cool. And he was like, listen, beyond all reality, it's like you have to change like 70% of what their logo is to make it okay. And I'm like, how the fuck do you determine what 70% is? Like,
Yeah.
I changed the font. I changed the way it looks. I added more stars. So it's really not the same anymore. I mean, it's a fucking circle with stars in it. I mean,
The other thing too is that I have a friend of mine who tattoos, and he started like a four-wheeler it was a clothing company for like four-wheeler racing, and it was like 3 numbers, and he said he started running it and he started doing pretty well with it, and he said Levi's contacted them and they're like, it's too close to the 501, and he's just like, it's nothing like that, and then his lawyer was like, well, Levi's can bury you in court and drag this out until you have no more money and you can't pay me, so you don't win at all here. And he had to stop doing it.
Yeah, but it is. It's like a dick move, too. It's like, listen, dude, I'm the small thing.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to sell? 30
I think Metallica
things?
got into that where somebody was welding. It was like a welder or something. I forget what the story is, but it was something that they had to do where it was like search and destroy or something like that. And then there was back and forth with Metallica, and then I don't know how it was resolved.
Oh, they lost. It's Metallica.
I don't see them.
Metallica's got
after
fucking
Napster.
lawyers for days. Yeah, they got fucking Napster attorneys. They're ready to fucking sue everybody. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the university's got way more money than I do, and but on the other side, like, I don't really want to get into building a bunch of sports memorabilia.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in slightly being, original, but I don't want to build things that people don't want to buy. That's been my whole goal. Is I don't want to build artwork that people don't want. I don't want a basement full of artwork that I own and I made. The first one of the first coffee tables, when I kind of felt like I was just going to start building furniture and sell it. I built a coffee table of my own design, and it didn't sell in a few weeks. I was on Facebook. I had like 2 followers. It wasn't going anywhere, and I got frustrated and gave it to my stepson. And I'm like, here, nobody wants this thing. You take it. And I've reposted it on like Throwback Thursday or whatever on Instagram, and it just takes off. And like, everybody's like, this is an awesome design and blah, blah, blah. And I, now I completely understand with the following, there was, like I said, there was 2 followers. So I didn't understand that when you put something out there that only a few people saw it. I thought like it just kind of hung out there and other people might see it. I just didn't really understand how it all worked.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, how did everything change after the Rogan clock when your numbers went up, and then now you have an audience that you can put stuff out to that can actually generate. Because I mean, I feel like that's the hardest thing when somebody gets into social media.
Yeah.
And they want to grow and they want people to see their stuff, and they're not even like chasing likes and all that. They're just trying to get their brand out there. And like I see how difficult it is with even just seeing my numbers and how they throttle things now and how they want you to pay and how far things go out. And like it's not easy to get your numbers up unless you have something that goes viral and then you have people that are just hanging around to look at things. But how much did that change where now you have an awesome product, you got it out there on a massive platform, your numbers went up, and then now you have access to a couple thousand people looking and liking at your stuff?
So my I think I had like 700 the day he posted the clock to start with, followers on Instagram, and it went up, didn't really go up a whole lot. I didn't have much on the page because I didn't really mess with Instagram that much. And like I would say that I probably gained, when he reposted it with Brian Callen and he did a video with him and Brian in front of it.
Yeah.
That got a lot of following. It boosted up, I think, a couple thousand. But at the same time, as it kept growing organically, it kept falling. It went up and down, up and down. I was in this 5,000 followers range for a long time. It would just go up like a few at a time and then down a few at a time. And so I think I do have a lot of like people that watch this show, which, you know, a lot of people do, but I think a lot of it's organically as well, just from like the hashtags and stuff that I use. And yeah, so I think the things I've learned from Instagram and just how great, powerful a tool it is. And so when I see people in business that, you know, or people that ask me like what I do, I just try to be myself. And I try to keep it short and sweet, because if I put something up really lengthy, most of the time people aren't reading it anyways. And honestly, I don't read the stuff that a lot of people put up. You know, I mostly looking at pictures.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like a lot of people are reading.
I think it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's got to depend on the person or the content, or if you know it's something serious, maybe you'll pay a little bit of more attention to it. But I feel like it's so visual now and everything's so fast, and it's like they just want such instant gratification where it's like, all right, show me that, show me a video. I only get 60 seconds.
Our biggest video that we did, I mean, out of everything, was when you got choked out. That hit over 100,000 views.
Yeah, no,
and
I mean,
we were on Barstool.
Yeah,
they mentioned it, an article on it, and then we were on the Jason Ellis show on XM. They brought it up and talked about it, and it was just us fucking around.
Yeah,
and stuff that we actually put time into, and we don't get injured. No one gives a fuck. Like they'll follow it, and you'll see stuff, you know, to be okay. But that one was crazy because we put that up as a joke.
Yeah, and like looking back on it now, like we didn't have an established YouTube channel.
No.
Like that got more than 100,000 because it got a little bit over here. Somebody uploaded off their phone over there. You know what I mean? But then the main one got the 100. But like looking back on it now, I was like, man, if I would have had, but I mean, it was 4 years ago.
That would have drove.
They didn't have Insta Story. You couldn't put videos up on Instagram. Like, but if that was now, that would have changed my whole platform, where I would have been able to put it on YouTube. You could have put it on Facebook. It wouldn't have been that and this and whatnot. But I mean, just out of that, I didn't care about any of the numbers at all. I was like, oh, we touched California at the Jason Ellis show from some basement in a bank in Bethlehem. And I was like, our little radio show that we're doing, that we just put out monthly and hope people listen to. And at that time, we didn't even know what the fuck we were doing. Like, it's not what it is now, where it's like almost a TV show and it's like fully produced. And like, you know, we had Jesse's a sound guy. We have Muma doing sound. I got my best friend who does the lighting in here. Like, this is turning into like a no joke thing, but like at the time we didn't know what we were fucking doing.
No.
At all.
And the best was we did it, and to read the comments of people.
Oh,
It
I
was
think
hilarious.
the best one was Barstool.
Oh
was
my
like,
God, you're gonna get that guy killed.
Fat podcast host choked, or overweight podcast host choked unconscious.
Yeah. Oh, it was hilarious. And the people like, oh my God, how stupid, how, and it's just like.
But that's what made it go.
People get tapped out all the time.
Yeah,
like,
that's what made it go. It went because it got picked up on all of the MMA platforms.
Yeah, because we had a dude right before he fought in UFC. So we did that, posted it, and then the dude hit in the UFC. So then we got a ton of followers, and then people are like, "Well, that was really fucking stupid of him to do. Like, you're gonna be having a fight, and you're gonna go and do that shit."
All he said was, "Don't sue me."
Yeah, don't sue me.
Did you see the logo that they brought back on the UFC? I can't remember which fight it was. I think it was for last year that they had on the mat of the old school.
Yep,
logo.
they did they did all the. They did all like the lower thirds on the video and stuff, everything like the first one. It was cool.
Yeah.
I forget. I wish they would have addressed that.
Logo. I want to build that logo out of metal and backlight it with LEDs and stuff
Oh,
like that.
they put that up in the gym for sure.
They sent that to Dana White.
Yeah.
And he's a huge art guy too. He's always got crazy like photography art and all kinds of different stuff in his office.
Yeah, I saw that logo and I was like, man, that thing would be so cool, all out of metal and lit up, you know. But with Instagram, I found out that it's a tool for exposure, but I also use it as a tool to understand what people like. And there's certain things that I build that I think, oh man, this is going to do well, or maybe this isn't going to do well at all, you know. And I'll put it up. And it'll just, it'll take off, at least for my following that I have, compared to all the other things that I post. It'll just take off. And so I'll start to look at the analytics and wonder why that it went like that. And then, you know what? I kind of just use it as a gauge as to what I'm doing and if I'm on the right track or, I think it works well for that.
Do you mess with Twitter at all? Or like Facebook, or you like Instagram the best?
So there's switches on Instagram that you can, post what you're posting on Instagram that goes to Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, that's all I do.
So on Instagram, I have 11,000 followers. On Facebook, I have like maybe 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
And on Instagram, I have 400. And so I don't understand why such a difference, but I get great positive feedback out of all of them, but like Twitter to me is dead. It feels dead. I don't really get much out of it.
Yeah, like somebody told me,
Instagram
like Facebook's for your parents, Instagram's for up and coming artists, and Twitter is for famous people.
It could be.
Well, Twitter you can still do nudity. Right? You can still post nudity, I think, on Twitter. Yeah. That's going to stay alive forever. They got nudity. You can't do nudity on Facebook or Instagram.
No, Instagram cuts down on that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great little accent to my job and a great way to highlight in a live feed of my portfolio and the work I do. But I don't spend a lot of time on there like I was doing the stories and all that stuff, and man, that's just a lot of...
So exhausting. I cut back. I used to do it constantly. I like doing it because I like to fuck around on it, but you can get caught up in just constantly recording your entire life, and then next thing you know, you're walking down the street talking to yourself, and then I'll be like, dude, what are you doing?
You talk to fake people.
Oh, but I do skits and stuff like that. That's different, but like when you start doing it too much, it just becomes something that you start doing, and then you're not living life. You're not
living life. Yeah, you're
like I'm going on vacation Saturday. It's like I'll probably do a little bit going down, but once we get there, like that phone gets put on the table, and I'm just going to the beach, and that phone's not coming with me. Like the whole vacation is to unplug.
Schaub says that Brendan Schaub on his podcast, and he always says, "Stay in your lane, bro."
Yeah.
And so, am I a content provider, or am I a fabricator? And why do you follow me? Because you think I'm funny, or you like the things I build?
Yeah.
And so I try to just stay focused on posting bits and pieces and then a finished product, and try not to, here's the other thing. I take my fucking gloves off every time I open my phone too. So there's that, you know, and it's like, you do that a few times, you know, throughout the day, and you're just, time's just falling out of your hands, you know? And so I really just decided to, once in a while, I'll post something on the story, but I think if you focus on a good quality post and a short and sweet, hard to beat kind of, you know, text on there.
Yeah.
You know,
I think you do it very well.
You do it very well. Like, and like I said, you videoing yourself making stuff, dude, people watch that shit all day long.
Yeah, the time lapse.
Yeah, people watch that shit all day long. You don't have to talk. You know what I mean? You never have to say shit. As long as they see you doing like creative things like that, people watch that shit all day long.
Everybody loves that, and the videos take which you should know.
Yep.
To do a time lapse video. Those things take so much work, and I'm a moron when it comes to this stuff. But, you know, I have iMovie, I got a GoPro, and, you know, I'll find myself in bed thinking that I got to put out this content because I got to stay relevant and in time with what I'm posting, you know, on photos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to put up a time lapse, it's kind of got to go up the next day, you know? And so I'll be in bed at night, like 10 o'clock with my iMac or my MacBook on my lap, trying to get things done. And I do all this work and I post it up, and it'll get like 4,000 views. And then the next day I'll be like, oh, here's this thing I'm halfway done with. Snap a picture of it, put it up on Instagram, and it gets 1,000 likes. And, you know, and I'm like, what am I, again, what lane am I really in? Am I a fabricator, or am I a content provider?
It's hard. It's hard when you get into that because you want to, and also when you're coming from like an artist perspective where you have a cool idea, we're like, man, that'll look cool if I do the time lapse and I'll do this and I'll do that. And like, I used to do like these crazy, I had to stop doing them because it would just be wormholes. But like I would go on, I'd find a song I would like, and it would just be from, I would listen to it, and then I would go on YouTube and I would just go down these rabbit holes, and I would think of weird clips from weird movies, and then I would match those weird clips of the weird movies to the song, and then I would be able to somehow oddly make it all work, but I had to slam it down into a minute, and then that's what I was putting out for promos for, like, to just be like, hey man, here's a new podcast, and it'd be like a song and all this stuff, and then I'd get done and I'd be like, dude, that was like literally like 6 to 7 hours of you sitting in front of a computer till 2 a.m. and then it's like sometimes the shit would get pulled down because it's like a copyrighted song, or like sometimes I'd do it and I'd be like, man, this one's gonna be great, and then 200 people looked at it, and I'm like, to what extent is this worth it? How much work am I not getting done because I'm going way too creative on the creative side just to get the itch out of the back of my head, where it's like, you know, to bring it back to it, it's like, stay in your lane. What are we doing here? We're doing podcasts. We're doing this. We're doing that. Yeah. And then that's when I like started switching to the promos where they're in, like, I'll cut promos out of doing all this stuff. And then it's like, all right, well, it's worth my time because I'm editing the podcast. I can cut a promo out of it. But then it's like, it's a very hard balance, especially when you're trying to be creative on how much you should really put into that, but then you're also using it to make money. Like, that platform's so crazy that I can run commercials for what we're doing. And now it's like, I'm going to start running ads for sponsors that are paying us, and I'm just putting it out on social media, and I'm not paying to use social media. So it's like, it's a gift and a curse, where it's like, the platform's so awesome because you can grow your business, but then at the same time you can get lost in it and kind of get turned away from like what you were really doing in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, that I just don't want to get to be doing. You know, I don't want to lose sight of what I feel I'm best at, and I really enjoy the video part. Like, it's fun, but while you're trying to plan out, maybe, let's say, like that numbers thing that I put up a video of not too long ago, where I was cutting out the Roman numerals to a clock.
Yeah.
When you're trying to plan and cut something like that, and you're thinking about not just doing that, but then do I have enough space on the SD card?
Yeah.
Battery charged up? Is the camera in the right place? And then when you find out that you didn't hit record and you thought you hit record,
Dude, don't
you
even talk about
live.
that. I have panic attacks every couple of, like, I'll just start looking around and be like, is this shit on? And then the guests will be talking and I'll just be like, what if none of this shit's on and none of this is being recorded?
Because it would be super embarrassing. Which we have. Remember we did that one show? We did like 20 minutes, and I just looked and I was like, all right, that was a good warm up. We should start from here because I forgot to hit the record button. We're good.
And we were talking about that with Smokerhead Barbecue, where they were talking about, I think it was
was it double?
Yeah.
What do you call it? Bert Kreischer was talking about it.
It's like a double click or something where the cameraman hits it, but then he automatically hits it a second time for no reason and then just turns it off. And then they do a whole thing, and then like they would do whole episodes of Bert the Conqueror, and like he's bungee jumping or doing a roller coaster, and then they're like, yeah, that wasn't recorded. There's so much more that goes into it. I was talking to my buddy who called me because not a lot of people know the video aspect of it, and I'm just like, well, the sound was off this way and off this way and off that way, and he's like, yeah, dude, it's not easy. And I'm like, I'm not complaining. There's just a lot of stress that goes into doing it.
There is, and I explained it to a friend one time, and he was like, man, it sounds like you hate doing this. And I said, man,
that's how it comes off for me, I think.
I don't hate doing it. I hate that it doesn't get what I put into it,
Yeah.
I don't get out of it what I put into it because it's really fun to do. And,
the ratio's off. The ratio's off. You spend 6 hours.
Yeah.
To
and
make
the other
20
thing
minutes.
too is like you don't have control of it.
No,
I did.
Remember,
it was 2 podcasts ago. I got an hour. It was a 2-hour podcast, and when I have to do the edits, like when we do this one, I have to go back through and sit through the entire podcast and change the camera angles manually. So I got an hour and 15 into a 2-hour podcast, and then I realized that on the back half of the podcast, the video wasn't matching up to the audio. So when the guest was talking, it was like an old kung fu movie, and I was so infuriated, and then I had to restart it 4 times. I lost 2 days and then finally got it back working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not awesome. That's why everybody's just like, I think I'm going to do a podcast. You really don't. Like, you don't want to do it. If you don't know what you're doing, it seems like it's super easy. And yeah, anybody can do shitty stuff. You can get a shitty mic and sit down in front of it, but like, we have a lot of shit going on. And like, what was it? Not the last podcast, some podcast before, we did a whole podcast and everything sounded great and all our headphones, everything was great. The levels look great. And then I go to save it and it just like, it decides to get rid of one of the tracks and remove it from the program. And then I find it and then it just disappears and there's no reason for it. And then we play it back and everybody's audio sounds horrible and we can't figure out why. There's no actual reason why. It just decided one day that it wasn't going to work. And to do a 2.5 hour fucking podcast and call the person and go, hey, man, we might not be able to put this up at all.
Like, we get 2 audio pools now because we have the video, so there's actually 2 audios recording. But if we weren't doing full video, that guy would have drove from Philly, sat down here, fed us. We would have talked for 2 hours, and then he would have went home, and I would have been like, hey, either don't want to do this again or you have to drive back up.
Yeah, we talked. I talked to you about possibly like doing one. A friend of mine thought it was just like a fun thing to do, and again, that whole stay in your lane pops in my head, and I'm like, I think if I did anything, it might be like a last minute, like Instagram. What is it? Instagram television.
No, the IGTV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To do, I think it would be fun to kind of break down some of the projects I'm doing, but again, like, is all that time and effort really worth it? I don't know.
No, and it's one of those things. A lot of my friends say, "Oh man, I want to come on the show and everything," and it's like, or I want to start my own show. I'll do it on your platform. That sounds well and good. Usually Mike will tell them, just get a microphone and talk for an hour straight to yourself and then play it back. And are you interesting enough and do you have enough things to talk about more than one time? And most of the people don't. They don't realize, like, oh shit, like I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah, I
know
brought
what's
some
supposed to
friends on, and then they lock up, and then they're uncomfortable. But I don't know. I don't think that if you started doing a podcast or started doing video, that it would be coming out of your lane, because there's so many programs and things that are super popular where people just watch fabricators and do different things. I think you have enough of a jump that it'd be an easy transition. It'd come back down to where it would be like, okay, well, is this taking time away from me making money, or can I make money off of doing this?
Yeah, if you're just sitting there and you do a video or whatever, something like that, and go live and talk about what you're doing and describe the piece, that would be super interesting. People would really watch that. But like we said, you're going to spend 6 hours for 20 minutes. So is it worth 6 hours of time?
But find some kids at that college in the video program.
Yeah, get some interns over there at the college.
That's what I'm doing next. The moment I have time, I'm going down to the community college. Be like, hey, will you do intern credits? This is a studio, and I need somebody to produce the show. And then let somebody produce the show.
My wife's son just moved here from Chicago, and he has a degree, and I don't know the exact name of it, but he went to the Art Institute for something with video.
Yeah.
And he's great with video and stuff like that, and I'm excited to have him here for a lot of reasons, but some of the video stuff we're kind of talking about, like I want him to do a commercial. One of the things I'm trying to focus on now is local exposure.
Yeah.
It's all great to have, a great following on Instagram, but out of the 11,000 that follow me, 3% of them are in the town where I live. That's 300 people.
Yeah.
And there's a town of 108,000 or something like that, and so that's a really small number, I think. And so I started looking at that in the last few months, and I started looking into advertising on the radio, and gosh, they want like $1,400 a month.
Yeah, well, and when you get into it, you got to ask. There's questions you got to ask them: is when it's going to air, who's going to read it, and what's the market you're going for? Because I got pitched one of those ideas, and it was the funniest thing. Because this guy called me, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? I do radio in the afternoons," and he had this real voice like this. He's like, "Listen, we do some ads," and he's like, "Listen, I'm going to read your thing like this," and he goes, "SBI bail bonds, yeah, we're local in the area," and he starts talking about all this stuff, and we're here to help you keep your kids out of jail, and I go, "No, as a bail bondsman, I want them to go to jail so that I can pay and bail them out," and he goes, "Wow, I really didn't research this at all," and I go, "No, you pretty much sucked that whole pitch. I don't think I want to advertise with you," and he goes, "Oh, really?" I go, "No, it's just I don't like radio, so I don't want to advertise anyway." But they wanted like $1,400, I think, a month, and it was only going to run like once a day in the afternoon sometime, and I'm like, who's going to fucking hear that? Like one person? It's not worth the reach that you get.
The great thing is like with Facebook, I mean, who doesn't have their face in Facebook all day long?
Sure.
And I could take $500 a month.
And it would be on all day long, every day. Yeah.
Have my stepson make me an awesome video commercial, 30-second flash, catch people's attention.
And it'd be so easy to do because your stuff is so it's so like flashy and visual, where it's like you wouldn't really need anything except for just a couple of slow-mo shots and some, you know what I mean? Like that'd be so easy for him to do. I think you should definitely do that.
I think so. And so he just moved here about a month ago, right about when we moved into this place, and I think he's going to help me out with that. He's got a job and stuff too, so it's definitely going to take time, but the shop is a game changer for me in so many different ways, being able to spread out the stress of what I'm doing, and multitasking on projects while something's drying or whatever. I can be working on something else, and then being able to have the GoPro in the corner maybe, or all the time I'm saving and not having to shuffle things in and around and waiting, I can start to focus on these other little gaps in my business and kind of bring it as a whole, But I think if I was to stay in my lane and still do somewhat of a podcast thing, it would be more so on the Instagram live thing.
Yeah.
And that way I did some videos to test it out on that last staircase I built. I went to the site, turned the selfie cam on, did a couple videos talking about what I was building. I went home and watched them, and I hated every one. I'm sitting there looking like, you look like an idiot. You talk like a moron. Like, just scratch it. And I went away from the whole concept and stayed away from it. Just, I think, again, I think I'm best focusing on what I'm best at, and that's building stuff.
Not necessarily. I think a lot of times people are really hard on themselves, and like when I do my social media, like sometimes when I first started doing it, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do this, and like this is just kind of like what I show my friends. And like when I started trying to like kind of like dick around how I do with my friends and kind of put that out there, like it was so vulnerable to do that. And I know there's definitely people who watch that and are just like, man, he's an idiot.
Listen,
but like
you realize you do the videos when you put the chickens back in the thing?
Yeah.
I showed it to my wife one time, and she shakes her head like, what a dumbass. But then she comes up and she goes, did he make any more of those chicken videos? And I go, good God. What the fuck?
But like how I do it now is like I put that shit up with horse blinders. Like I put it up there. I don't really check on who's. Sometimes I'll see the numbers when I go on my stories. And when you do those stories, like as much as like you might not like doing them, it's a very easy and quick way to see how many people are actually looking at your shit. Like I've watched it grow where it's gone from 60 to people where now I'm clipping over 200 people are looking at it. And what the problem is with Instagram sometimes is that people look at your shit and they don't like it. And they don't like it either because they're lazy, or they don't like it because they don't want other people to see that they're liking things, or there's just some people who don't like anything. But when you view a story, you can't take that view back. So like I gauge that by like, all right, well, I see my audience is growing, and I can see that like this is growing. And then I'll go to a store and someone will be like, yo, man, like when you put that shit up there the other day, and I'll be like, what? And I'll be like, when you did that shit with the chickens, and I'll be like, what do you, and I'll be like, oh, like I put that shit up there and it's like, it's gone out of my head.
Yeah,
out of my head. Because half the time it's so stupid, and I'm just laughing to myself leaving and being like, and sometimes people commented on it and they're like, man, that's so funny. Or like I'll put a shirt up and people will be like, yo, that's badass. Like I also started realizing with Insta story as well is that it's different from Instagram, where there's people that talk, like I'll have conversations with people through Insta story because like somebody will put like a fire emoji, like say you put up the flower and then somebody puts up a heart emoji, and then you can be like, hey, do you like that? And then it starts up a conversation where like you don't have that one-on-one with somebody just liking your picture. So like there are levels to it, and I don't think you should not do it. I think maybe you should just give yourself a little bit, like stop being so hard on yourself with how you look on stuff, because it's like I'm sure you don't give a shit anyways. So like why not take that in real life and implement it in social media, which is what I do. Like I don't care if people tell me I'm stupid for that. My friends tell me I'm stupid for that shit every time it comes out of my mouth.
I mostly get real in fact, I don't know that I can even remember anything negative. I get a lot of positive comments. I get people that reach out and message me. There's a guy, shout out to Willie Rad the welder, just some dude, I think he's dropped like 250 pounds, and he's a welder, welds out of his garage. I'm not exactly sure like how busy and stuff like that he is, which doesn't matter. He's out there doing the damn thing, and he reached out and sent me a message, said that he saw that I do all the stuff I do out in my garage, and it just motivated him to, one of the motivated things to get him off his ass. And he started doing that Diamond Dallas Page yoga, and he's like half the person he was when I first started following.
Yeah, man, a lot of people who get into that, I don't like anyone who's got like a serious weight loss thing, like it oddly goes back to DDP yoga. And I'm just like, dude, that guy's been on a bunch of different podcasts. Like that shit works. It's either the way he does it, or he just takes people who would never want to do yoga, but then it's Diamond Dallas Page. So they're just like, well, Diamond Dallas Page is doing it, like, I will.
I mean, people start wearing the fanny pack as Joe Rogan does. So
I'm not doing that.
that.
I'm not doing that shit.
I would wear a fanny pack, but I don't give a shit about anything at all. I wore fucking linen all summer. Just straight up linen. I wanted to thank you because I'm like getting back to like positive feedback and just hitting you up. Like, you didn't have to make this sign behind me at all. And then when people are like, well, what did you pay for it? And I'm just like, he gave it to me because he's coming on the show. And they're just like, what? And I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, the guy's really awesome. And like, you didn't have to do that at all. And I think like those positive things kind of come full circle where it's like you had that positive effect on that guy, and it's just like you had a positive effect on me. It's like I was going through some really real shitty stuff with a friend passing when we were building the studio, and like that was a key element that I wanted in it. And it's like that's because sometimes, you know, I build this show by like what I see in other podcasts, and it's like when I saw Rogan's clock lit up in the back, I'm like, man, like that'd be so cool to have something lit up in the back like that. And it's like, so I mean, for as much as you did things for that guy, I feel like everything like that comes kind of full circle when you start allowing yourself to give to others or to like open up for those situations to happen.
You know, and I've been motivated by people, you know, and again, like with Rogan or even Shab or, you know, just I can probably take motivation from a lot of people, you know, but one of the things that the reason I built that clock, one of them is that the positive things that I took from Rogan's podcast and his guests, but also like creativity and understanding creativity and how the process works and kind of owning up to like being a procrastinator, you know, and what's getting in the way of the creative process. And man, he's just kind of got a no bullshit look on being a creative person and the showing up every day kind of mentality and attitude, which was all taught to me by my mom, you know, but hearing it and seeing it and in effect from other people as well. And when, you know, there was some late nights that I'd be out working in the shop because, again, with the kids or whatever we had going on, or just projects that I had to get done on time that maybe I didn't want to be out in the shop at midnight, but I'd pop in that podcast and listen to it. And, you know, it was everything that kept me going really in some of those moments, you know? And so I feel like, I guess I didn't purposely do it because of that motivation, but I feel like that's part of it. It's just sharing it, you know? And, you know, typically I get like $2,000 for a sign. That's like my minimum. And you're just a guy starting out, and I'm just a guy starting out. And I feel like we can share that somehow. I'm going to get exposure off of this podcast, and you're going to have a cool sign. And I don't even know if that's really a trade as much of it is a share.
Yeah. Because like I remember, because I have the clothing company, and like when everybody agreed to do it, and this is what I do now, starting with you and the other guys who agreed to do the show, is I'm like, I'm going to send them clothes. I'm like, that's what I have. And I was like, I'm going to send them the T-shirts, and I'm going to send them kind of a thank you package. And then I remember you being like, man, I really want to make something for you. And I was like, yo, I don't got Joe Rogan money.
Yeah. When he called me, he was like, this guy's going to make us something. And I was like, I'm thinking, all right, he's going to make us like a salt and pepper shaker or some little trinket or thing. And you said, I was like, God damn. Like you said that sign, and I kept showing people, like, look at this. We're going to get this in our studio. Yeah, right. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, and then when I saw it when you played the video and the lights were changing on, I was like, dude, but for me to see that come to life is like, you know, that's cool to everybody else, but like for me, like that was what this whole thing started 15 years ago when I was in a bar and had nothing going on with my life and was just a fucking drunk. And then I started the clothing company, and then like I just haven't stopped. And then it's like then when it turned into the podcast, and then, you know, and then that logo is kind of like where it's at now, where it's like it's now the clothing and the podcast. So for me to see that be lit up like that. Like I was just like, oh my God, man. Like sometimes it's cool to have reminders that you are in your lane and that you are on the right path, and all the bullshit and all the hard work and all the crazy shit going on with life, it was all worth it. So for that, man, like I can't thank you enough for that moment.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you invite me on here. But it's really, I think the biggest payment out of it, whether I get a paycheck or a giant smile, I mean that's really where it's at for me. Is I love delivering something that somebody wanted, and it's exactly what they want, and they're just stoked to have it. That's just like, that's the best ever.
I didn't know how you were going to do it either. And then, do you do this for all your signs that size, like in the circle?
It just depends on the logo, really. Yours kind of called for that.
Yeah.
Circle around it, and then like the one I did recently for the JB podcast.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Guy in the UK. Yeah, I sent him his. I had to delay the sending of his because I was broke and couldn't afford to send it because it was going to in the UK somewhere.
I know it sucks because all the people hit me up for T-shirts and shit, and they're like, "Hey, you know how much that costs?" And I'm like, 4 times what the hat is. And sometimes I'll be like, yo, I'll pay half of it just so it's cool that somebody in England has, I've done that where I'm like, yo, meet me halfway, and I lose my ass on it, but it's cool that somebody's wearing my clothing in England.
The clock I sent to Rogan was, I think it was $600 to ship it.
Oh,
holy shit.
And the first call I made, I called, I was all proud. I built a grandfather clock and called this company, or I called FedEx or something, and they said, what are you shipping? And I said, it's this size, this side. It's a grandfather clock. They were like, oh, let me send you to the white glove department. I'm like, sweet, somebody will take care of it.
That just means it's way more expensive.
$5,000. They wanted $5,000 to ship it.
Dude, you could have drove it there.
I would have drove it out there. And so one guy told me when I was calling to get prices on it, he goes, look, call back and don't tell anybody it's a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
And so I built a wooden crate. I probably spent $150 in materials on the crate, and built this crate that was like, you could have drove over it with a truck. And you could probably drive over the clock with a truck and it ain't gonna break. But I packed it in there, strapped it down. I had carpet pad on the bottom, and I wrapped it completely. It was strapped down in there, and Jamie, his producer, sent me a picture of it when it showed up in the crate, safe. And then I called FedEx, or maybe it was UPS, and then I found out that there's people who kind of deal on shipping, and so I ended up sending, when I shipped Schaub's and Brian Callen's clock, that was like $300, and because I didn't call the main dude to do it, I called some other company.
Like off the books kind of thing. Like I know we did that. We were asking about the one dude. We went out to Sturgis. He crashed, and he had to have his bike shipped back, from South Dakota to Pennsylvania. And he's calling all these places, and it was during Sturgis, so all the people are like, "Oh, it's gonna be like $1,300, $2,000, $3,000." I said, just leave your fucking bike there. It's not gonna go anywhere. It doesn't run. It's in a garage. Like, tell the dude in the garage you're gonna keep it until after Sturgis. I think it was only it was just some small dude that was on his way to the East Coast. He threw it on his truck and was like, it's like $200. Like he went from like $1,200, $2,000 to $200 because of timing. And it was just some guy like, yeah, I got room. I'll just throw it on there. But the dude was super cool with everything. Like, he didn't wreck anything. But yeah, it's not shipping's a bitch. At that point, if I've ever known to have been that much, yeah, you just fucking drove it there. Like $100 in gas or something, and that would have been cool. I wonder if he would have did a video. You probably never even would have met him. It would have been at the door. You just hit the fucking button, and I don't know.
The sign that I shipped to the UK, I called to get a quote, and they told me the cost, and it was like $250 or something like that. I wasn't broke, but I just didn't really have the money to be spending on it that moment. I had a lot going on, and I was like, shit. And then, so I sent my daughter to have it shipped out the other day, and it was like, it ended up being like 150, which is a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think your sign was like $30, you know?
Yes.
He's like, oh.
Yeah, because I think offered to pay the shipping, and you were like, nah, dude, like, whatever, like, it's cool, like, I'm just sending it. No, it was light when I got it. I was just like, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to give you, like, you know, something like, oh, I'll build you this thing, but you got to pay shipping, you know? I was like, let's just get it there and just whatever.
You totally could have. You just showed a picture of it. We'll just pay whatever. Like, you just get it here in this place. I don't give a fuck.
No, it looks good on the back wall. We're talking about maybe putting like getting it on like a TV wall mount swivel so I can turn it a little bit. But I still think it looks cool the way it is. It's definitely my favorite thing down here.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It was a fun build, you know. And I think one of the videos I did of cutting out the zigzag part,
Yeah.
that ended up like going for my stuff. It went pretty well. You know, I don't remember the numbers, but I remember that
I forgot you did all that because I forgot that you did do all those vids and all that stuff before I got it, because that was pumping me up even more. I was sending it to everybody, being like, yo, this dude's, and then they're like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean this guy's doing this? Well, I just wanted to thank you, man, and appreciate you for coming on. And you're more than welcome to come on whenever. I'd love to do one down the road and see where you're at again. And I don't know. It meant a lot for you to do that. It's been really cool meeting you. The fact that you've been this patient to even get on, because it took so long, and I know you had personal stuff going on as well, and then you had the move, and it was kind of like time to be correct when it actually happened, where like I don't half-ass anything, so it's like I didn't want to not do Skype the correct way, and we were having issues, and then there was hang-ups, and then I'm just like, dude, this is just gonna not be the right way, and then it's just like, you know, it's just I wanted it to be professional, and it's now professional, so I think it's a better time that you came on and did it that way. Yeah.
Being prepared is part of being professional, you know, and not that I know a whole lot about that, but I found out that at least that, you know, and no, I was in no hurry to do it, you know. I honestly, like, for me, being in this shop makes me the professional. I've always felt like I've just been the guy that's in the two-car garage.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people that have been very great and paid me to build really cool things, and I've had people look at me like, well, you're just in your garage, you know, like they really didn't, because I was in my garage, they didn't take me seriously. And the things that it took to get out of the garage was like years of groundwork, you know, and so people don't always see that until
no one ever sees that.
No.
Yeah.
No one ever sees any of that. I mean, that's what separates a lot of people, that they put in the work and do everything and keep grinding on it. And then there's other people that either don't want to put in the work or they just give up on it. And it's always awesome to see. Like that's also why social media is awesome, is because I was just seeing where you came from when we talked, and I'm like, dude, he's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, man, his business is really growing. And then you were doing a couple other podcasts. And then I was like, well, that's always important, because you never know how it's going to go when you have somebody that's never been interviewed before. And then it's like, and then I saw that happen. Then I saw you got the new place, and I was just like, dude, he's killing it. And I think I even texted you a couple times. I was just like, dude, you're really killing it. So it's like, I'm excited to see where you take this next, because now you're working in the space that you need to breathe, and now it's like you just hit your 10,000 followers, correct?
11, yeah.
Yeah, 11. So it's like now it's like that's still growing, so it's like it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down anytime soon.
I really feel like creatively and artistically I have yet to really scratch the surface of what I want to do. And like doing the podcast and stuff like that, I kind of enjoy it. I think it's fun. It gets me exposure. And in talking about practice, it is practice. And I don't think it would be like the end of the world if it doesn't happen. But if I could be great enough artists to get on the Rogan podcast, like to gain the exposure I would get off of that, I think that would be end game, you know.
Oh my God,
That's not really main focus or goal, but if that came along the way from practicing and doing these podcasts for like you guys or other ones, that'd be super cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, and I'm going to give you a chance to plug all your social media. It's going to be tagged in everything I do, but I always like to give everybody a chance to kind of put it out there and just go over any way that anyone can get. Because I even had people who were like, dude, give me that dude's number, and then I don't really know how to connect him to send it to your email, or like I'm not giving you his phone number. but I just whatever way anyone can get a hold of you to see your artwork, to buy your artwork, to hire you, or just in general to see more about what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, my phone number's on the internet, so you can hand it out if you want.
All right.
Every telemarketer across the United States has it anyways. But at Russel Bilt on Instagram, Russel Bilt on Facebook, and then RusselBilt.com. And that's RussellBilt. I spelled it wrong, and I'm stuck with it.
That sucks. I think that's how my Twitter is, where I put it as like Never Again Studios, and then what it shows up at as it breaks it down, it just says Again Studios, and I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I'm like, I'm not redoing this.
I didn't spell it wrong. When I started my business and I did the LLC, I started looking on the internet, and there was a guy in California that had Russel Bilt, Bilt, all one word. And I was looking at, I have a buddy who has a Peterbilt truck, and he gave me a hat. And I was looking at their logo, and I started reading about the word Bilt, Bilt, you know, and looking at other companies, and I'm like, screw it, Russel Bilt. There it is.
No, because at first I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, oh, Peterbilt. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Well, I had a Jeep, so Smittybilt is another company, I think, for Jeep stuff. I think Smittybilt.
Yeah, then there's like Troy Bilt. They do stuff like lawnmowers and
weed whackers. Yeah, my weed whackers, Troy Bilt. Yeah. Yep.
As long as the profession doesn't overlap.
Yeah.
People tell me I spelled it wrong, and I'm like, yep, I did.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, and I'm so glad that this went smooth for our first Skype call, because I didn't know how this was going to go, but I'm going to definitely get this chopped up into a video platform, and then we're going to put this out there. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Enjoy the sign, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks. All right, good, because I don't know how to turn it off. Well, we're still
all right. Smooth.
Are you want to end the show, or you want to keep talking?
Yeah, I was just going to end it that way.
Oh, you want to do that? Look, I had this all planned out.
Oh, we don't have to end it that way.
No, we're recording. Look, I had this all planned out. I was going to go like this. I was going to go. We'll get the Skype going. What? It's like...
I wanted to use. Is it still recording?
Yeah.
All right, and then we can end it this way. But I wanted to use like the rolling start. I wanted the doot doot doot.
Yeah, I know the crazy
doot 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 doot. But then it's so awkward to be like, hey, because if we would have done that, it wouldn't have worked because we couldn't get him.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid, and we looked stupid.
It sucked. I don't know what. I don't know what that was. I don't know if like, because Moomaw didn't bring his Mac down, so I don't know if we have a setting wrong or if it's coming to my phone.
I don't know.
Whatever. Who cares? We got that out of the fucking way.
Listen,
how long were we waiting to fucking do that?
Everyone has a phone that can do that, and the video is now well enough. It'll work well enough on a phone.
I just didn't know if the mic would have been better.
No.
Off of the Mac.
Probably off his phone, better than the Mac.
I don't know. We'll find out. I'm sure we're going to do more.
What a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a really solid, nice guy.
Yeah. I met him. Well, I didn't meet him. I called him. I hit him up, and we had good conversation over Instagram, which is always a plus. And then when I called him, I was like, hey, man, like, that's so badass that you did that. And then he started talking to me about it, and then we had a good back and forth. And then I was just like, all right, cool. Like, I can do this. And he's like, all right. And I'm like, that's the show. Like basically what we just talked like for the last 45 minutes. But he's a really good guy. I mean, he's had some health issues with his family and stuff. So like, I'm glad that's all sorted out because that got scary for a little bit with his daughter. But we've been trying to do this for a while. Yeah. So I'm just excited that everything's done. And now we can just move forward. And then now we can do guests like that, which we would have never.
It'll fill next time.
We would have never been able to get him. So I think I have vacation, and when I get back from vacation, I think I want to blast out the next 2. Or no, I think we actually have guests booked. Who's next?
You have 2 in a row. Meal prep.
Oh, Valley Meal Prep, and then we have Scribbles and Drips again. But I got to make sure our lighting's situated because I booked him, and then I was like, wait, I don't have that set up. So I got to figure out. I'm going to talk to Jerry on vacation. Yeah. But this will be months after vacation.
Meal prep, we need to figure out how many people they're bringing.
I think it's just him.
No, is it? I think there's 2 people involved.
It's him. I believe it's him and his wife, but I think, or his girlfriend, but I think he's just coming down by himself.
I understand the food's ridiculously good.
I went up there and I saw how they cook it, and I don't know. I wanted to try it, but I didn't know how to be like, why don't you feed me? Because a lot of it, they were like
Guy Fieri. Like,
it wasn't like it wasn't like it was hot. You know what I mean? Like they were bulk making stuff, but they're hooked into school districts now.
Yeah, there's a dude at the jail.
He's got a cool story.
I brought it up to it, and he's like, dude, I buy a lot of stuff from there.
Yeah,
it's really good. And I said, it looks good.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to do. But all right.
Yep. And then that's it. Check out everything on all of our social media. And thanks for listening. Have a good night, day, whatever. I'm tired. Goodbye.